Greeting 916th Air Refueling Wing personnel. I am Senior Master Sergeant Benjamin Smith. I am a Master Resilience Trainer for the 4th Fighter Wing as well as the 916th. Today I'm going to be going over the skill set of bringing your strengths. So let's take a minute and talk about Dungeons and Dragons. I am sure that if you've not played D&D, then you have heard about it. If anything, you are familiar with it through the popular show on Netflix, Stranger Things. Dungeons & Dragons is a role-playing based game where a group of friends or acquaintances can come together to play through a scripted campaign, or if they're skilled, come up with one themselves. In any sense, before they can start the game, they have to create their characters. As with any kind of role-playing game, this is the most crucial step. You are designing your character with certain aspects or traits, or in other words, strengths. How you assign strengths depends on how you want to develop your character. Much like in us, we have strengths that we have relied on to become who we are today. So when we begin this skill set, and when we're teaching it in resilience, like in First Term Airman Center or through Resiliency Training Assistant training, we have the people go through a survey. It's called Values in Action. You can get this through the viacharacter.org website, or you can also go to viame.org. I would recommend going to the website and completing the survey to see how your strengths are ranked. So how does recognizing our strengths and using them in our day-to-day activities help us? We tend to focus more on what is wrong with us, or how we need to improve. We don't spend enough time focusing on our strengths and what is right about us. Research has shown that bringing our strengths to the table improves our performance. It helps us stay more engaged in what we do and brings a sense of meaning and purpose. People who use their strengths have a stronger sense of well-being and have been known to experience less stress. They are more energized in the task. Utilizing strengths in your job is associated with a range of health and performance benefits. Compared to those who do not use their strengths, employees who use their strengths at work were more engaged, more satisfied, and had less job turnover. Moreover, leaders who recognize and emphasize their subordinates' strengths enhanced both individual and team performance. To put it simply, leaders who focus on weaknesses instead of strengths suffered a 63% loss in productivity, as well as when people who intentionally utilize their strengths at work are 18 times more efficient. So let's see how we can identify our own strengths. Try this little exercise for me. Take your pen or pencil and a piece of paper. Now with your dominant hand, the hand you use the most, or the hand that you always go to, either your right or your left, write your first and last name. Now switch hands and do the same thing. This is a perfect example of how we use our strengths. With our dominant hand, we have utilized our top strengths. When we try to write with our non-dominant hand, we use strengths that we would not normally use all the time. We all have strengths. Some we use on the daily, while there are some we just put on the back burner and do not use as much. When we get into some later slides, we'll find out what our top 5 strengths are. These top 5 are called signature strengths. These strengths are the ones we own, we celebrate using, and are exercising them constantly. There are reports out there of when this research was done that people have a feeling and having a sense of authenticity and excitement when using their signature strengths. When you use your signature strengths, what you're really doing is being your best you. Your signature strengths just come naturally every time you use them. And when you use them, you're aligning them with your values, which is in the sense of being your best you. Believe it or not, there are ways we can see what our top strengths are. As stated earlier, I was talking about the Values and Actions Survey. I highly encourage you to go to the website to see how your strengths are ranked. And if you're not familiar with the VIA survey, it's okay. All the survey does is provide a rank ordered list of strengths. When I was referring to your signature strengths, this is referring to your top 5 in this survey. Peterson and Seligman developed the VIA survey. They have come up with 24 strengths that people normally use. So here's the list of the 24 strengths that Peterson and Seligman identified that people have used being their best self. There are 24 character strengths in this survey. When you go onto the website and complete the survey, it provides you a ranked order of your strengths and a brief description of each one. Read each one carefully because they may capture a different concept than how you may perceive an issue. For example, leadership in the VIA survey is focusing on achieving consensus and group harmony. You may consider leadership important, but it might be lower on your list of strengths because your leadership is characterized by good judgment or bravery. Love may be low on your list, but that doesn't mean you aren't capable of loving or being loved. It may mean that the way you demonstrate your love is another one of your strengths. For example, if creativity is high on your list of strengths, you may express your love by doing creative things for your partner. So Park, Peterson, and Seligman looked at some signature strengths of people in the United States. Here are some of the strengths that were common: kindness, fairness, honesty, gratitude, and judgment. The least common strengths were prudence, modesty, and self-regulation. You will find that if you have already taken the survey, or if you will take the VIA survey, you will see that your signature strengths may be similar or different than what is displayed in this slide. For me, I've taken this survey about 5 times now, and I can tell you that it has changed within the years, but there's really 3 that kind of remain the same for me. But my top one that has remained in the top 5 is always fairness. That's because I always try to look at objective, and I'm always about objectivity and trying to look at both sides of the story before I make a decision. So let's go over how we can identify our strengths. With this activity, typically you would have your ranked list of strengths with you, and you would already know what your top 5 or signature strengths are. You would also have a participant guide in front of you to do this activity. So right now you can just write this down on some paper, or if you already have your survey with you, you can just circle your top 5. Then I will instruct you to think of a time you used one of these strengths and write a few sentences about how you utilize that strength. And then you would take a few minutes to share with a partner. You can do this in the workplace and share with a coworker and see if they can pinpoint which signature strength you used in your story. And then let your coworker or partner share their story with you and see if you can spot their top strength. So let's reflect and recap for a minute here. Answer these questions to yourself, or you can share with your partner or coworker. Did your strengths match your values? And also, how did it feel to tell someone your strengths? If we did this, then what is happening is you're no longer dwelling about your negative attributes, but turning those negative thoughts into positive emotions. Focusing on your best you will increase your well-being. We cannot just identify our strengths. It is not enough to just recognize what we have. We have to find new ways to use them. If people believe that the strengths are stable, they may not invest effort into using the strengths and finding new opportunities to use them. Instead, it is important to find new ways to use your strengths so you can continue to develop into your best self. It is a must that you be open to new opportunities to use your strengths. Finding ways, both new and old, to develop and use your strengths. You need to look for opportunities every day. You can also think how you can apply your strengths when you are facing stressors or challenges. For example, how can you use your strength to help you overcome obstacles in your life, either work or personal? Bring your strengths to both your personal and professional life every day. And this is where we normally get into the meat of instruction with facilitated discussion. So take some time and dwell on what I'm about to say. Truly think on these questions and write them down for yourself as a reminder. Let's talk about how we can bring your strengths. If you have a strength of zest or you have high energy, how can you bring that strength to your personal and professional life every day? How can you bring that strength when facing new challenges? Let's say you have to PCS. How could you bring your strength of zest to help you navigate PCSing? Now let's use a different strength. What if you have the strength of curiosity? How can you bring that strength to your personal and professional life every day? How would you use that strength if you had to PCS? Now let's put this to practice in an activity. I understand you probably don't have the participant guide in front of you, but you can use paper you had earlier, right? So in this activity, I want you to find a new way to use your strength. Think about the 4 to 5 strengths you identified. How can you use that strength in your AFSC? Remember, I am talking about strengths, not skills. Next, think about how your strengths can contribute to your unit's mission. What do you bring to the table that will contribute? Are there ways to bring your strengths to your personal life or to overcome a challenge you're facing right now? After you have written some down, take a minute to reflect on them and see how you can utilize those strengths. So to recap on bring your strengths, this skill allows you to identify your strengths. That you're not just stuck or suffer from strength apathy, that you can discover new ways to develop your strengths. It helps you understand how your strengths can contribute to your unit's mission. By doing this, it improves your engagement and gives you a sense of purpose, not just in your unit, but more importantly, in your personal life. This is the skill set of bring your strengths. If you have any questions, or you'd like to know more on resiliency, or interested in being a resiliency training assistant, RTA, or even an MRT, Master Resilience Trainer, I encourage you to get in contact with me. I am Benjamin Smith. You can find me on the global address list. I will not be under Senior Master Sergeant. It will be under WS9. But here's my email. benjamin.smith.67@us.af.mil. Or you can give me a call on my DSN, 722-2926. Please reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever. I'll be more than glad to help you. Thank you.